What is up, guys? Sente here, and I've got a little bit of a different video for you guys today, more on the psychological end, but I think it's actually one of the most important things to be aware of as you're trying to get better at Go. I just have a game by one of my favorite players on TieGem's Subsonic here, so just to have something to watch while I talk. This video is going to talk about when you feel like you're getting worse, when you're doing your practice, when you're studying your moves, but you don't feel like you're getting better. In fact, you're getting beaten by people you feel like you should be winning against. No doubt everyone has felt this. And I think there are a few reasons for it, and the reason I'm bringing it up now is because this recently started happening to me. And I just want to tell you a little bit about what my situation was and how I'm going to try to solve it and go about handling it so that maybe you guys can get some ideas. Maybe if you found something that worked for you that I didn't mention, you can put it in the comments below, and we can all just try to help get better, each other get better at the game, and try to not have these weird, two-stone regressions. So just sort of how this came about for me, as you guys know, I started playing Go seriously last July, so it's about a year and 4 months now, ish. And by the summer, I was hopping around on servers. The style of TieGem seemed to appeal to me, so I started playing on there more. Within a year, I became a 1-dan on TieGem. Now, as everyone knows, TieGem is one of the weaker servers. 1-dan on TieGem is like a 2Q-ish on KGS. So I started to try to recently play on KGS more because I realized that even though technically on paper I'm a 1-dan, I still have a lot of basics that I need to master before I think I can really become a full-fledged dan player. So in the spirit of that, I was hitting up my friends who also played Go and were very good at it a lot, my 5-dan friends, and playing teaching games with them. Every day I played a different teaching game, thinking, okay, I just need to learn as many advanced techniques as I can so I can just improve quickly and I can become a 1-dan on KGS and everything will work out fine. It turned out that that was way easier said than done, and I started losing against people I was beating 4 months ago. So returning to this server, I was having a hard time, beating 5 Qs, and I was losing to 6 Qs. Still am. It's still difficult at this point to win against people that in January, when I was still playing on KGS, I was no problem going up through the ranks. So this was, as you can imagine, pretty frustrating, and I'm sure this has happened to tons of other people, and I've given it a lot of thought, and I think there's a few reasons why this happens to people, and I'm going to share them with you and tell you what I'm going to do to try to get out of it. So the first thing that I think is what was happening to me is that I was suffering from a case of knowledge saturation. Basically, I wanted to become as good as possible as quick as possible, which meant I was playing a teaching game with my high dan level friends every day. Within those games, I was learning like 20 things that I was doing wrong because they're so good they can just find infinite things wrong with your game in any given situation. And it was really helpful and really instructive, but the problem was there was so much I was learning in such a short amount of time, I literally couldn't process all of it. I would play the teaching games against these high dans who made very reasonable flowing type moves that very clearly exploited weaknesses. Then I come back to KGS, playing against the normal crowd, right? And I see moves that appear completely ridiculous because I haven't seen that in a long time because I've been playing against 5-dans. They don't play 5Q moves. Because it looked so ridiculous, you want to punish it immediately and you want to punish it severely, just like what you notice has been done to you during your teaching games, right? Like if I make a slack move, my friends are all over it. They're just going to rip me apart and I'm going to die. So I wanted to try to do that to the people I was playing against. But the problem was I was learning so much in such a short amount of time. I was completely saturated. And when I went up to the board, I had no clue what I was going to do, what I was doing. Does this variation? I was thinking about Sente. I was thinking about endgame. I was thinking about points. I was thinking about all these lessons that they've been trying to teach me throughout this string of teaching games. and I was just completely overwhelming and confusing myself. And as a result, I wasn't playing my normal game. I wasn't reading, and I was just getting destroyed in every local fight. So I think knowledge saturation is very real, and I think it's something that can happen, especially with people who are trying to learn Go on their own, because they don't have a teacher that knows what to teach them and the pacing with which to teach them. We're kind of on our own to learn this stuff. So if you feel like you're getting worse, ask yourself, have you been learning a ton of stuff? Have you been actively trying to learn a ton of stuff? Different theories, different openings, different endgame, whatever. If you have been, you might be suffering from a case of just saturation. You need to process these lessons. You can't just learn 5 billion things and then be amazing at it. So what I'm going to try to do to fix that is I'm going to only learn one concept a month. That's it. So this month for me is endgame. I'm going to play my complete normal game. I'm not going to worry about making slack moves, opening or middle game. I'm going to play the game that got me to the point I was at, 5Q, 4Q on KGS. And I'm just going to add an endgame. I'm just going to make a bigger focus on having good endgame. And that's the only change I'm going to make. And what should theoretically happen is if I'm playing my normal game, I should be at the 4Q level, but I'll just have better endgame. So I might be a little better as long as I'm keeping everything else the same. And then next month I'll do something else. Maybe it's shape, who knows? But don't try shape, endgame, opening theory, global board awareness, and, direction of play and attack. Don't try to actively improve all those things at once because it's just too overwhelming. The next thing I want to talk about is reading. This is something I found was happening to my games, and it was not good. And it was responsible for a large amount, I think, of my losses during this time I told you, trying to improve my game and trying to break through that sort of 5 to 3Q wall on KGS. Is I was learning a ton of different theoretical stuff. Like I said, board awareness and shape and slow moves and when this move isn't good here and this move isn't, all these things. And I had so much, like I said, saturated in my brain. A consequence of what was happening was I was trying so hard to think of the correct theory and the correct mode of thought, whatever you want to call it, that I was thinking about during my games. I was trying to make that as correct as possible. And as a result, I wasn't reading. And I think that's something that is just so easy to do if you're trying to improve and you're kind of on your own just trying to teach yourself, is you, wow, this is an awesome Fuseki, or you dig into the low Chinese like a ton. And you study so much that when it comes time to read, if your opponent doesn't play what you learned in your book, or if your opponent does something different, or if your opponent's really good at fighting, you tend to sort of get scared and you don't read as much because you're trying so hard to focus on the theory of what you learned. And that happened to me. I was trying to think of playing the correct theory so much that I wasn't reading during my games, and my level of reading dropped like 2 stones. As a result, every local situation I was in, I lost the fight. I lost every local situation I was a part of. I was missing stupid moves. You all know the feeling, right? Everybody knows that. So that's another reason you should take it slow and gradually try to learn stuff, because the more you learn, the more you're going to try to think about during your games. And if you don't have the experience to make it natural and intuitive, you might find that you've sacrificed your reading to try to get better at theory. And usually reading, for Q players, reading's more important than theory, because a lot of Q players are not going to follow theory. They're going to deviate from the theory and the Josekis. And they're going to test your ability that you've cultivated to master the basics and to play in an advanced way. They're going to test that. Whereas a Don player will see that the situation is not good for him, and he just won't even go down that road. A Q player will not see that. And so you have to know how to punish. And reading is one of the quintessential things you need to learn in order to punish. You need to know if an idea is good or not, because you have to read out if it works. So if you find yourself learning a lot and in this process of learning, you feel like you're making stupid reading mistakes. Reading is more important than theory in the Q level. Always remember that. Always remember that. You can make a ton of opening mistakes, but if you're better at fighting than the other guy as a Q player, and you can read better than him, you're going to win the game, most likely. Because there are so many swings, right, in Q player games. Against a 5-Don, if you make an opening mistake and you're a Q player, you're probably just going to lose the game. But in Qs, it's a lot more free. I think also this sort of shows how the Western mentality of Go sort of has a little bit of a weakness. Everybody knows when you learn Go in China or Korea, mostly they don't even teach you. My friend told me that they don't teach you anything theory-wise until you become a Don player, which means until you're a Don player, you're literally just playing games and fighting all the time, which is a little bit miraculous. And because in the West, we don't have those infrastructure, we don't have the teachers, and we don't have the people to play against, we're kind of stuck trying to learn Go just from the theory perspective. We just got to try to teach ourselves. And so the natural way to teach yourself is to learn the theory. But playing is more important than the theory. At least according to my friend who's seen the training programs in the East. So never forget that. And if you're trying to improve and you feel yourself not improving, sometimes just taking it back to the basics and being like, you know what? I'm just going to play and work on my reading and make sure that I don't lose fights and that I get a better situation locally than my opponent during these moments. That can sometimes be enough. And that's what I'm going to try to do. Just bring it back. Bring it back to reality, bring it back to the basics and playing, which is what we should all be doing more of. So just to recap, I went over some of the things that I think are responsible for the feeling of getting worse. The first one, as I said, was learning too much too fast and getting overwhelmed. So you're not able to really apply everything you learn because it's just too much to process at once and you don't have the experience. The second thing I covered was when you try to change your game, you're learning to play like a new player. And because of that, you're going to have a lot of difficulty if you try to change too drastically all at once. Because you won't be playing the moves you're comfortable playing, which can be good, but it will cause some setbacks. So just be prepared for that if you want to drastically change your style. And then the third was a lot of us when we learn, because we're forced to try to learn theory as opposed to just playing a lot, because that's sort of our Western mentality. A lot of the problems that come up are we're not reading and we're focusing too much on theory, not enough on actually just reading better than the other guy, which can cause a huge amount of problems. So those are the things that I'm going to keep in mind and try to work on. Like I said, my 3 solutions are I'm going to only focus on one concept a month and play the rest of my game normally, not even care about it. Next month I'll do something else, but for this month it's that one concept I decided. The next thing I will try is to always focus on my reading, build my reading, never sacrifice reading for theory. So if I'm not doing life and death problems and I'm studying Fuseki, that's not a good idea. I should always be studying life and death problems to keep my reading up and read during my games. So those are sort of my thoughts on sort of how to get past that feeling of being worse at Go. And I'm hoping that it'll work out well for me. I hope that this helped you and maybe you saw the game a little bit differently. I brought up some points you hadn't thought of. And if you know other ways that I didn't mention here, definitely let me know in the comments. This is a very real phenomenon that has a lot of Go players frustrated, and so the more light we can shed on how to just get out of this as quickly as possible, the better it's going to be. That does it for now. Be sure to like, subscribe, check out my website, www.goinsente.com. Got a lot of cool stuff on there. All the normal things. Support the channel, help me keep my website up, pay for the website, all that stuff. And I hope that this helped, and I hope you get out of whatever funk you're in as quickly as possible. Till next time.